heart of Anthem is the concept of Our World, My Story.
Our World, My Story. What does that mean?
Oh, that's the same. Wasn't that the same tagline that you used for Star Wars: The Old Republic?
It's probably the same idea. I mean, what's the main idea behind Star Wars: The Old Republic? You're in an MMO, and you can go on quests with other players, right?
Yeah, you basically in a big area and go from multiple planets. I'll say planets, zones, basically, and you pick and choose your own story adventure because it still uses the same like Mass Effect dialogue wheel, pretty much.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's just specific to that because you could choose a certain character type, and he has a class, and you can have certain storylines. So you had like 6 or 7 stories, I think.
8 stories in the beginning, and then you had planetary stories as well.
That's a lot of content. I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, the idea behind it is great because it's based off KOTOR, which is a pretty solid basis, and then they turned it into an MMO, and they just screwed up on the business end, and then they fixed that, and now it's still around. So it's not dead; it's still working. So if that's any prognostication of what's going to happen with Anthem, it's like okay, they know what they're doing. It's just smaller. Like Anthem is much smaller in terms of scope, I'd imagine.
Unique combination of a dynamic, ever-changing world and a powerful personal story. In Our World, you band together with friends for epic adventures across a vast shared landscape.
Okay, epic personal story and then banding together with friends. I don't know how that works. Does that make any sense?
It's a personal story with 4 friends. Oh, 3 friends, sorry.
Yeah. And that means there's going to be interactions with NPCs in the story because you obviously can't have a player take over an NPC's role and start dictating dialogue options with you.
Well, the thing, they said that I think it was in the Mark Dara interview. Most of the single player content, the story content, is going to be at Fort Tarsus, your main base, and the dialogue wheel is going to be a lot more simplified than what they've had previously. I don't know how they can simplify it even more, but apparently that's what they've done.
I do know they're not doing branching or multiple storylines or story plots. It's all one big story, so you just go straight. Yeah.
It's linear straight away.
I can't see them doing it any other way. It's just too complicated.
Teeming with danger. The world narrative advances for your whole team.
See, that's interesting. The world narrative. To me, when you say the word narrative, you mean the rendering of everything. And so how does that work then? Do you have like multiplayer or my buddy's world narrative that I'm with you and then I experience that? Or is it like my world narrative and I share it with you? And is there like cut content so they don't reveal like chapter 5 but I'm on chapter 2? Is that like, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's a bit weird. It must be based. I don't know how they're actually going to do that, unless it's just like you load into a world and this world can actually be changed in a number of ways, and then obviously, you leave it and it still remains that way. Whereas you take something like Borderlands, which is like what you just described there, where like you can have like guys with like there's a level 20 guy and there's a level 5 guy, and that guy could be off running ahead, or stories don't unlock. At least I think that's how they did it. Like it's based on the host. That was Borderlands. It's based on the host and what they were doing. But this one seems a bit weird.
I'm curious what that means though. They have all these buzzwords and they don't really translate to linear storytelling, at least as a game would go. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Together, you'll confront countless enemies. Those who threaten to take control of the Anthem, as well as ancient beasts.
Okay, so they said they take control of the Anthem, so I imagine it's a thing or a place.
Yeah. I always thought Anthem was the world, unless the world is actually the thing itself and there's just artifacts which have just like, crept in and out, like the old technologies or whatever.
I don't know. It could just be a song, and then you have to sing it, and then you're walking along, and they start singing the song louder, and the animals are like, "Ha ha, we're singing the song," and you have to go hunt them down and kill them. I don't know. What we don't even know exactly what the anthem is supposed to be.
Guitar Hero.
You must play the anthem or die.
You'll get further into our world by taking on explosive missions offered by agents who need your help.
Explosive. Can't wait to go on some explosive missions. Thank you, Miss Michael Bay. Whatever you're doing.
Well, it's the same people who made the Star Trek consoles. They're made of explodium.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're getting shot at. This console just erupts.
Yeah,
And
let's fill it with glass so that when the thing explodes, the guy's just going to get like
And of course,
peppered.
our red shirt over there next to the turbo lift is on fire for some reason. That's what they need in. Actually, I think they have that in Bridge Crew on that wonderful VR game. It's just everything's blowing up around you, but there's all these console buttons, like it's like Jolly Ranchers on the old style, the old series. Everyone's like all these buttons, like what do I do? Everything's on fire. Like,
These missions take you deep into the heart of Anthem.
so that looks cool.
Well-
That looks cool. This looks really fun. Like you're running around and you're in enclosed space and there's like mines, but how are there mines on an alien world where everything is the size, like that arch that this we're walking through is the size or larger than the size of one of our javelins. So I'm like, okay, someone built this and it looks like humans. So, and we have these, these tree, again, these are beams, these are wooden beams. So that means someone was cutting down trees that are, of course, gigantic, and having a gigantic saw. And this is all done with these javelins. Like everything you see here, like these blocks are twice as big as a normal block. Because again, we're in a javelin. So yeah, this is an abandoned human javelin mine.
Unless it's just like an ancient, like I say, like a couple of centuries old human settlement that's just been overrun. Like they've, I'm just really, really projecting in terms of maybe giving a bit too much credit here, but that just may just be like outposts or villages and towns that have just been receded over time because of the monster threat, and they could be adding that into the lore or into the story itself.
It sounds like Destiny all over again. It's just like this is the last refuge of humanity, and we're going through vestiges of whatever. And it's like, oh look, a mine. Where have we seen this before? Like every other fantasy science fiction game.
And if it's centuries old, just to kind of contradict himself here, because I'm like that, why isn't the wood rotting?
Why isn't this a place where it's been overrun by time and just completely dismantled? Like what is keeping this thing up?
Yeah, it's plot relevance. Is what it is. I am the plot beam.
While also developing the personal stories of each agent.
Trust me, I'm a person you want to know.
There's Sarah Ryder.
It doesn't really look like Sarah Ryder, but she doesn't.
The voice actor.
I know, but it's like, okay, she has dark hair. She has a line. Maybe that's just a part in her hair as opposed to a white hair. Does not sound like a middle-aged woman. I'm sorry. Even though the voice actress probably is a middle-aged woman. It's just her voice. It's just how it sounds. That's just me. But I'm glad they're using resources from other games just so they save money. It's very important. They probably had her contract for like a decade. It's like, okay, we're going to use you until we go bankrupt. So we assume another 9 years.
Well, they were probably working on this when the VO strike was happening, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So that could be it. So she could be a stand-in for what they originally wanted.
Oh, was she a substitute to the original VO, and then the strike happened, and they're like, "Oh shit!" Well, that person.
Yeah, because if you remember, like one of the earliest trailers, you had Jennifer Hale narrating it, and then it just suddenly stopped, and I think that's when someone could probably feed me the information to that in the comments below. But yeah, I do remember that. It's like Jennifer Hale gave this really felt like you are the last, this really kind of good speech. I'll say good speech. And then it's like, no more Jennifer Hale now. Obviously, she's clearly gone on strike. Later.
I wouldn't be surprised if they use Hale and Mira again, because they're always in the Bioware games, whether you're aware of it or not. So, maybe more Mira than Hale, but yeah, I'm sure we're going to find a lot of those. Well, a lot of them are no longer alive, but yeah, those are the two big ones. So yeah, I could see it happening.
You want to know.
Outside of the battles, there's free play.
See, that was interesting. This mech being hung up.
Oh, like the old Javelin suit there.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's a Javelin suit. So that implies there are some very powerful, very strong, very nomadic, intelligent life forms that
They did. No, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry,
that don't eat metal, or they. Who would do this? Like how? Like what would be the point of, let's say, an intelligent? Let's say we're Javelins and we're going down there. Is this like a warning to our friends? Like, okay, we're gonna get this dead carcass, and we're gonna put it up on a stake, and we're gonna make sure that this place is really dangerous. It's like, why? Why would you? Every place is dangerous. It's like
Well, they did say that there's one of the antagonists is called the Dominion, which is like the evil human faction trying to control the Anthem.
really
So that could be them doing that.
interesting. That's always nice, having a human counterpart that wants to destroy you, even though this is the last vestige of humanity. Or is it the last? I can't remember the story. I'm just thinking Destiny all over again. That's all it is. Everything's shades of Destiny to me.
Outside of the battles, there's free play. A chance for you to explore solo or with friends.
What does that mean? Outside of the battles, there's free play.
Unless the battles is where the change in the narrative happens. So they've got like strict. I mean, I'm just completely like theorizing here, so don't quote me on this. So it looks like you've got areas upon whereby you join in there, and that when that battle takes place, it stays there. So whether you win, fail, or whatever, the choices will remain there, will impact the world.
It sounds.
And then you've got kind of free roaming, which is kind of like your standard free roaming world questing kind of stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like a mini MMO where you have this little, not a lobby, but like an environment where you're walking around and say, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" And you can actually go into the world for a bit, and then you could jump into the quests, and then you keep going. So it sounds like it's going to be like seamless. You just sort of eventually walk into it.
Yeah, that reminds me of the Old Republic, where you have your story-based quests, where you have like your class-based quests, sorry, and then you walk into that, and then of course you have like the big overworld. It's like, yeah, you can bop around, you can do like little quests and what have you, and then it's now story time. You're going to walk into that, and only people who have been invited into your squad can enter into that with you and help you out.
You see, this is just like the progression from Knights of the Old Republic to Mass Effect, and then there was the Old Republic, and now we have Anthem. I think it's pretty much the same parallel when you're looking at what they did and what they're doing now. I think that's exactly what's going on here.
Uncover answers to your questions about Anthem, and find powerful artifacts that could lead you to victory.
Okay, I have to bring this up. I just like, what is this guy doing? It's a wooden chest.
Artifacts.
It just needs the Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, there's that classic Link to the Past, the N64 Zelda, where they animated, like they didn't actually model. Well, they obviously modeled an object, but they motion captured a guy opening a chest. Like that's how crazy they were with N64 Zelda. And I was like, yep, they're gonna have motion capture of this, 6 foot or was it 6 meter tall, however tall these things are, these giant creatures that you pilot in, opening a giant wooden chest. It makes almost no sense. But not a space age chest, not like a miniature chest that humans would have, but literally a box that's wood that has like iron buckles and maybe a lock that was designed for javelins. It blows my mind.
Just needs to make a creaky sound when you open it, like.
reminds me
Oh,
of reminds me of those World War II trunks that the soldiers would have.
oh, oh, that the leather bound ones.
I
Were they leather?
Well, my grandfather, he was in the war, but he wasn't like on the front lines. He was just like a desk guy. But he had a big chest, and I saw it in his basement. I was like, "What is that? That thing's huge." It was very long, and yeah, it was just what they took for all their belongings when they came and went. So it was like, "Geez, this is really big," but this is even bigger in the video.
Facts that could lead you to victory down the road. Back within the safety of Fort Tarsus is where my story begins. This is your chance to develop.
Now, my story is this chick, or
I don't think that's her name. Sorry.
okay, well, the narrator speaking, so it's like my story. It's like, okay, so you are someone at Fort Tarsus. This is literally the narrator saying, I am part of this story. It's like, okay, so it's not the framed narrative. You are in the narrative. And I'm thinking, okay, it's her. It has like that's what she said. That's what I see.
I think they just imply that, like I say, sorry, I've said this earlier, but the story is in Fort Tarsus, Tarsus, where it's called Tarsus, where it's like literally as you walk to Tarsus, it's like, right, story time, that's it, no gameplay, action interwoven into the story. It's just sit down, enjoy your own meal, have a story.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of all those cheap Korean MMOs where you have like a lobby system and you're in like the base or the town. Even with like Diablo 2, and there's like hundreds of instances of like the wizard character or the thief character, and they're all overlapping each other because they're all talking to the same guy. And it's like, yeah, we're going to see like dozens and dozens of, well, depending on how many people buy the game, of people within that server, within that instance of a town, just ramming, just like walking right through each other. There's no way you could do collision detection with hundreds of people in the little level. It's just going to be another MMO with all these people running around buying and selling stuff and trying to make a what do they call it, a raid party.
Richly personal narrative where your choices have consequences.
Choices have consequences in a personal narrative in a town. I guess that's Bioware. It's good to hear.
In this bustling trader town, you'll develop bonds with your pit crew who can help you prepare for future battles. They're the people in the world who have your back. And as your relationships develop, you'll learn about their pasts and the future they hope to see.
Okay, so yeah, it's a linear story with NPCs. That sounds about right.
Congrats, BioWare.
This is what you should have been doing all along. See, I don't mind the fact that they can tack on multiplayer to a game and then make it better, but this is like designed to be a multiplayer game.
Well, it's really funny because they've done multiplayer games in the past, like Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights. You could play the single-player story with friends in that.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal. It was just like,
Yeah,
hey,
you just jumped in and yeah, off you went. I don't know why they make it. It was only, I think it was when they did KOTOR and Mass Effect, because that's when consoles really went big in the multiplayer scene just then. So consoles were actually focused on single-player games and PCs were actually focused on multiplayer. And then we both kind of like flipped around. It was kind of weird.
it's possible that they were looking at the success of Mass Effect and saying, okay, we did really well with multiplayer in Mass Effect 3. And I guess it worked well with Andromeda. I'm not saying it was a great game. I'm just saying it worked. Like the multiplayer connection and whatever. The infrastructure was there. And to make the jump to Anthem is like, nope, we can't use the same team. It's totally different tech. It's totally different setup. And whatever they did, Montreal got absorbed by, what was that?
Yeah, Motive.
Motive, there you got it, yeah. So whether they worked on Anthem is unclear, but it's a totally different system. So I'm very curious how this plans out. You know, why change something that was working? Like, for all intents and purposes, Mass Effect 3's multiplayer was fun. And whether that made story sense is another issue. but it was fun. People liked it, and they liked it better than the Andromeda multiplayer, which is interesting. So maybe that they saw that and they said, okay, we got to scrap that entirely. I don't know. I'm just curious what the involvement between single player, NPC, linear storytelling, and how to get your friends to get because they said it was a narrative world that everyone shares. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, shared narrative world, I think, was the buzzwords.
How does that work if everyone's playing a different instance of the town or whatever? Yeah.
Fort Tarsus is ripe for exploration as well. You may even encounter shadowy figures with questionable character. It all depends on the decisions you make. This is real-time storytelling, a reinvention of personal narrative.
Okay, what the hell is real-time storytelling? And what is a reinvention of personal narrative? What the hell?
Well, we're so used to term-based storytelling, aren't we? So.
Oh, Steve, it's your turn to tell a story. Go ahead, man. You turn the page.
see how best you can roll to how well you turn the page. Oh, he's got a paper cut. You rolled a 1.
Do it again. Oh God, these are buzzwords that mean nothing.
A reinvention of person. Like, yeah, that's just.
Yeah, it does hurt my brain a bit, but maybe they're trying to get some sort of gameplay mechanic they're trying to include. It's possible. We don't know what they're talking about exactly, but just off the bat, hearing that, you're like, ooh, what?
In a multiplayer game.
Personal narrative in a multiplayer game. Ugh.
It sounds worse when you put it in one sentence. It just doesn't make sense.
As a freelancer, you are the bridge between the heroic adventures discovered in our world and the personal journey that unravels in my story.
What does that mean? What the hell does that mean? Whose story? You're the bridge between some person's my story and the other world. Like, what is that? It sounds as if my story, that person, the narrator, is a narrative unto itself. So it is a frame within the actual world of the game. So, and you as the player play this character who pilots and interacts to and from. I think it's kind of like watching The Princess Bride, and Fred Savage imagines he's Wesley, and he's the swashbuckler. Then he comes back, and it comes back to the frame, and Peter Falk is talking again, and he's like, oh, kissing scenes, blah, and they go back. If that's the idea, I think. That's what it sounds like to me. I could be completely wrong because I don't know what the hell BioWare is doing here anymore, but it could happen.
And ultimately, the key to the fate of everyone.
Yeah, that's the shot from Andromeda. That is
the monster type.
Whatever it was called. I don't know. I never played it, so I don't know what it was called. But it's the giant gorilla that picks up Ryder and strangles him. And yeah, that's it. This is exactly the same thing. Only it's, I guess, 4 times as big because everything's twice as big. So this is twice as big as us. Yeah, it's exactly the same. It was that big joke about how they were stealing resources or they were trying to one-up themselves which is kind of cool when you think about it. Every project at BioWare was one-upping the other. But yeah, they got jetting around. They got this giant creature that's probably going to pick you up and strangle you. And yeah, it's the same, pretty much exactly the same model. And he's just this brute. That's it.
Yeah, you'd have to do a play. I wouldn't say the same model, but you'd have to do like a split screen shot for the animation sequence.
Oh yeah, it would be very. Wouldn't be perfect. I bet they modified it a bit just to.
Yeah, I mean it's not as bad as Inquisition where they use the exact same attack animation for the mages as they did Inquisition from Dragon Age 2. They literally just copy pasted it. It was really lazy.
Well, who knows? I think that's the whole.
Yep. Pre-order now and get some multiplayer bonuses. Get the Nomad in gold plate.
Oh dear. Well, that's a pretty cool graphic. Look at that giant A, and they got big yellow dude. Then they got. What the hell is that?
That's like the wizard class or whatever it is. It's the floaty one.
It's so hard to tell. Like, it looks like one of those robots with like no face and two eyes. Like an NPC would be like designed or something, like a mascot character, and he's just sort of like this faceless dude. But I guess that I can't quite make it out. Oh wait, maybe he's looking to the left. And his arms are. I don't know. It's hard to see.
Side shot. Yeah, it looks like a side shot.
Yeah, and then we have another profile of this guy looking triumphant, but he's really, really tiny, and he's standing over lava. Okay, this one I get. This is his back, and he's... Yeah, okay. But this one, I don't know. This second chevron is just... What is going on? Is his legs, or is his arms? Okay, yeah, I think that's his face. Okay, this is his head. I thought his shoulder was the head. And he was like, he had like all these arms sticking out of his back. But no, this is his head. Okay.
Just me, or does that color palette look really out of place? Like, you look at the Ranger class, which is the top one, and the Colossus, and the other one down below that, I don't know what that one's called. Like, they've kind of got that really weathered look, and then this one looks like it's just come straight off the production line.
I want neon green.
It's like everyone's got that really kind of rusted, battered look, and then this one's like, oh yeah, we just ordered that one from Amazon, and it's just come in the mail. It's great. It's fantastic.
That looks like the Amazon thing that delivers your package. It sort of flies with anti-gravity and has all these arms sticking out. It's going to deliver you your ordered gun, and it just delivers the gun on the battlefield.
Oh, wait, no, I don't think that one's the glass cannon. Sorry, the neon green one. I think that's the lower one. Because there is like a wizard class, and I think he's got like a cape on or something like that.
I think capes anyone can put on. I'm not sure.
I've only seen that one on the wizard class. I think the neon green one's the kind of more, I don't want to call it a roguish class, but if you want to call it a rogue class, I don't know. It's a bit weird. Unless it's the more support class.
When it comes to having classes with peoples with guns, it's kind of, you throw out all the gaming conventions, I think. Like, you're the tank. Okay, you have higher hit points and defense than everyone else. But everyone has a gun, so okay, he has the stronger gun. Okay, he's the gunner class. Or he's the sniper class or whatever. But that would be synonymous with being a tank. So a tank would have a big fat gun. Or get close to this guy, he's going to mow you down, he's going to slow you down, he's going to stun you in some way. I mean, then we go back to the gaming conventions. What does a tank do? He does crowd control, he absorbs, and he possibly heals. But when everyone has range, I mean, you can fly, you have a gun, they can't hit you unless they have guns. You fly around. It's like, that's it. Yeah, you fly around and shoot things. Unless they shoot back, then you have to dodge. So, yeah, the non-shooting enemies have to be really intelligent, or you'll just be like, yeah.
I think they did say that you can only fly around for so long. Like, you don't have fuel, but you have overheat. So, and that's the innovative mechanic that they've got for the overheat meter is that you have to fly through a waterfall or go through water to cool it down, so you can keep going. That's it.
If you have to go through a fluid to cool your system, there's an engineer who just got out of grade school who's like, if you apply cool surfaces to your heating engine, therefore I can make you fly indefinitely. It's like, yeah, no shit. No, we need water. We need 10 degree liquid to cool it down. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we have we have dry ice over here, which is minus 273 Fahrenheit. Just a little few drops of that over here, which is just fine.
Mike Dara did go on record saying that this is like Anthem's a world of without microchips. And I'm just like, how did you manage to build these advanced robotic machines then without microchips, with all the holographic displays and things? Is that like the Anthem itself? Is there crystals? What are we using here for the technology? Because this can't be steampunk, right? Because I don't want like little gnomes like shoveling in coal for the weapons and things.
A giant, this giant furnace on your back that's like lead.
That's why it needs water to cool down. Yes.
It's a waterproof lead furnace. Oh boy. Yeah, that's a silly comment. Unless of course they have enough lore to explain some future tech where it's all the metal is the conductor and the conductor is the computer. So they have their own. How would I describe it? It's basically an integrated circuit, which is so sophisticated that it would be built into everything. So you would have a computer in everything, which sounds insane because we know computers are extremely intricate. And yeah, it would like imagine having a quantum machine that everything. No, I'm not probably talking mostly science fiction here, but it's just so bizarre to say that you can't have a circuit, which is basically just a diagram for electrons to move. So if you're not using electrons, what the hell are you using? And if you don't have a circuit, then where does it come from? Is it like interdimensional computer? It has a
It's the Anthem. It does whatever the plot wants it to do, right?
The Anthem is a computer that comes out from the computer dimension, and it processes your maths all for you.
Oh, maybe that's what the Anthem actually is. It's actually the developer's source code kit. It's like, we can mod the game now. We can do whatever we want.
Do you want to write the Anthem? And they give you a mod kit, and it's like, make the game better for us, please.
Yeah, we're calling this Operation Bethesda. We're just going to give you things and just say, please fix our game.
And then they're going to have the big paid mods problem where it's like, oh, we can't allow these mods. They break the game. But if you sign up with EA, that therefore will sanction your mod, and then you can sell it on the marketplace for in-game currency, which you can also buy. Like, oh. All right. Yeah. I don't know. That'd be. I'd be curious if they did that because Anthem needs something. It needs. It's just another Destiny. That's all it is.
Yep.
Okay, I think that's it.
Yep.
It's still just another Destiny, guys. That's all.
Yeah. 10 minutes later, it's like, yeah, it's no Destiny. Go home. You don't need to worry about this.
Come on! Come on! Yeah! Steve!